Welcome to the first ever live recording of Kaiju Transmissions. I'm your host, Matt, and Bird cannot be with us today, but I have a very special guest. Well, we have lots of special guests today, don't we?
We do.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Nick Adam Poling. You'll know me as the guy on the Monster Report, the host of the Monster Report on YouTube. And I've had Kyle and Matt on my show once, actually, and we're just collaborating on this effort here at Days of the Dead here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Awesome. And we have a special guest. Corey Hannigan is going to be our translator today because we have Tsutomu Kitagawa, who played Godzilla in the Millenium Godzilla series. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to get out of the way, ask some questions. And before we do that, I just want to tell Tom that, first of all, you play one of my favorite Godzilla characters, Kiryu Godzilla. We are so honored to have you on the show. And I just can't express enough that we're glad that you're here. You played one of my childhood heroes, and we're just very thankful that you could be a part of the show with us and that you agreed to do this interview. So thank you very much.
インタビューできて本当にありがたいから感謝いたします。
ありがとうございます。
So with that out of the way, I want to ask about Battle Fever J. Was that the first work that you were a part of? Was that the first show you were part of?
北川さんの初めてでしたか？
それはヒーローとして
You mean as a hero?
Yes.
そうですね。
ヒーローとしては初めての番組でした。
Yeah, that was the first film I portrayed a hero in.
Okay. And your wife was in that as well, correct?
それで奥さんも入ってたよね。
そうそうそう。
And did you actually replace her at times for the stunt work?
うちの奥さんがそこに入ってきて、で、そのうちだんだんこの子は結構できるから、もう自分はいらないなっていうことで外れたっていう。
Well, so originally Miss America was the name of the character that they portrayed, and there were two actors involved. Miss America was sort of the pre-transformation version of Go Ranger. And so there was, a main actress and a stunt actor. And I sort of portrayed the stunt side of things. But what ended up happening was that actress had some issues. There was some problems. And so my wife stepped in to take over. But as we continued on, they started to realize that, she could really do this on her own. And sort of I moved out of the picture.
Okay. I would like to talk to you and ask you to talk about the challenges of suit acting, specifically in the Godzilla suit. So, the challenges of acting in the Godzilla suit, how that changed over the years, and maybe give an example of some of the dangers that it faces, that job faces.
その時に死んじゃうかなと思ったわけです。
So, the first time I wore this suit, it was for sort of a camera test for Toho. And, I had my first fitting where they start to build the suit up and up. And when they finally got it fully built up, I thought I was going to die.
ゴジラのスーツっていうのはもう厚さも重さも全然違うからびっくりしたと。
Yeah, I mean, my career up until that point had always been sort of sentai, like transforming, human size or like more of a human figure. And so going from that, like I was comfortable wearing a mask, but going from that to the Godzilla suit, just the heat and the weight, it was really surprising to me.
Can you talk to us about the differences between playing Godzilla versus, say, or in other monsters such as King Ghidorah and other sentai characters, and how that was different from filming on movie sets versus shows?
形がこうできてるから、ここは全部スポンジが詰まってて、他の人は着れないようになってる。
Well, so just like in the States, the biggest difference between TV and film is the budget. With TV, the budget is so much lower than film. And so, with that comes a proportionate amount of sort of production and just the seriousness of the production. So, I went from these like lightweight suits and masks that you can move around freely in to the more, solid Godzilla costume. And the Godzilla costume, it looks really bulky. Like it looks like, there's a lot of room inside, but they actually fill it with sponges. and it's fit and designed to fit one actor. So no one else can wear that suit once they create it.
I see. And after a shoot, after you would spend all day on a set shooting, how would you recover for the next either day or next time you would have to put the suit back on? So how did you physically recover from that?
Well, first of all, when it came to shooting Godzilla, the working day was pretty long. We started shooting around 9 a.m. and we worked until 9 p.m.
まあ本来は5時で終わらないといけないんだけど
I mean, really, you're supposed to finish at 5 if you start at 9.
まあ終われないっていうことで
But, you know, you can't, sometimes you have to keep working.
まあ汗をやっぱりかくから、まあ最低3キロ、多くて5キロぐらい汗が出て、
1日に。
1日。
And within that suit, you know, I would sweat a lot. I'd estimate I probably lost between 3 and 5 kilograms a day.
ということは、家に帰ったらすぐにビールを飲む。
And so in order to recover from that, as soon as I got home, I'd drink a beer. And I'd eat.
That sounds like a good idea.
いい考えですね。
寝るまで飲んでる。
Yeah, basically drink until I fell asleep.
Do you prefer doing stunt acting as a kaiju or doing sentai work?
違うわけですよ。
So first of all, I mean, it's very difficult to say simply because they're so different. With work on Sentai, you know, I'd wake up at 4 and start work at 6 and just basically shoot all day. And in a day, there were probably between 100 and 120 cuts that we could do. But when it came to Godzilla, you know, I'd work from 9 to 9, and in that long day, there may be 5, maybe 7 cuts.
All right. This is kind of a wordy question, so I'm going to simplify it a bit. But when Godzilla is fighting another monster, how would you describe and how long would it take to plan what we would call choreography, plan that fight?
で、それをこうってやるんだけど、ゴジラの場合は自分たちでこう勝手にこう。
Well, for Godzilla, you know, we would sort of work it out ourselves. I mean, we were professionals at that point. And so the director would basically tell us, you know, to do something. And we kind of knew what we can do. And we knew, like, that we were capable of doing certain things. So we could do that. When it came to Sentai, they had, like, an action director for that would plan out all the choreography there and tell us, okay, move like this and now move like this.
My understanding is that the Godzilla suit from Final Wars was the easiest to move in. Was it because it was simply lightweight? Was it different material? What made that suit the easiest for you to be able to maneuver and do as many stunts as you did?
先に頭が当たっちゃって、もう全然、だからこうやってんのって言うとこうはならないから、桐生にガンガン殴られて、やられてたっていうことですね。
Well, this kind of connects to an earlier question. You know, we mentioned Kaiju before, and in that movie, the way the suits were designed, the heads were sort of in the way, and so you'd get, like, when you had the fights, you know, your arms are so short that you're kind of like, you know, waving in the air, and when you try to punch each other, you know, you hit the head and you get knocked around. And so when it came to Final Wars, the director had a particular idea in mind for how he wanted to shoot it, but we basically explained to them that the suit doesn't allow us to move freely, and we had to sort of demonstrate, but we got his approval and we got him to understand, and so then they completely redesigned the suit because of that.
だからちょっと今までのゴジラは桐生まではデザインの中に自分を入れてたんです。ファイナルウォーズは自分の体にボディをつけていって、ゴジラ自体がもう自分の体に似てるっていうことですね。
Yeah, I mean, I'd say up until that point, every Godzilla suit was designed and then modified to fit the person. But for Final Wars, that was the first time that a suit was designed around the actor. And so it looks more like me, at least I think.
Can you give maybe an example of a shot or a scene that was particularly difficult or maybe required a lot of retries or reshoots?
ビルを壊して大変なんです。
Yeah, I mean, if I think about it, I get scenes where I had to emerge from the water or walk through the sea, even just knocking down a building. I think people watching the films, it looks really easy, but that's a lot harder than it looks to perform.
Have you ever watched the American adaptation of Die Ranger or Power Rangers? Have you ever watched Power Rangers? And I was curious what you thought of the changes that they made to the show, if you knew what they were.
大レンジャーのアメリカにした方、パワーレンジャーズという番組は見たことありますか？
ないです。
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Smart man.
いいと思いますよ。見ない方がいい。
いえいえ。
I might go off script a little bit, actually, just because sometimes I like to find out a little bit more, about Kitagawa himself. If you were to describe yourself outside of being a suit actor or a stunt worker, how would you describe yourself to somebody?
北川です。
I'd say I'm
はじめまして。
I'm Kitagawa. Nice to meet you.
I just meant on a personal level,
Yeah.
what kind of things do you enjoy?
なんか性格とか興味とか好きなもの。
そんなことでも初めて会った人に言う？
Well, I don't know if I would say all that stuff to someone that didn't know me.
趣味は太極。
Wow.
Ask him how his recovery is coming from after his surgery and out. Like he mentioned the smoking and stuff. My understanding was he had to give that up as part of the recovery, and I was just kind of curious how he's feeling about the recovery. And we saw him last year at FantaFest. I think he had only been out of the hospital for a couple months.
いけるならしますって言ったらいけるって言われてした。
Yeah, actually, I had arranged my schedule for FantaFest. I had arranged the surgery to line up with that. Actually, the surgeon that that I was hiring had done surgery on the Emperor, so he's one of the best in Japan, if not the best. And I specifically asked him, I've got this trip planned to America this upcoming month. If I undergo this surgery, will I be able to go? And he said, yes, you will. And I said, okay, let's do it.
Oh, wow.
そのぐらいアメリカに来たかったっていうこと。
That's how much I wanted to come to FantaFest.
Why do you still make the trips to conventions? What keeps you going? You made several trips out here, and we appreciate that as fans, but what keeps you so interested in coming back out here to see us?
ここまでしてくれますか？
いや、楽しいから。
Because it's fun.
Actually, is there a particular approach you have to each of the monsters when you're asked to play those monsters? Is there a particular approach you do to prepare for that role, and maybe how they're different from just playing Godzilla? Because we kind of know Godzilla, of course. So, but yeah, other monsters. What's your approach to when you're going to perform as that monster?
コツはあるけど準備はありませんね。
There's little tricks and techniques that I have, but there's not really much in the way of preparation.
Did you have any specific, I guess, influences for how you would move, or maybe like animals that you might study to get the movement sound for Godzilla? Or was it all just something that you kind of came up with on the fly?
どうするかっていうことは考えましたね。
Yeah, I didn't really look at anything when it came to preparing. I thought about Godzilla, the living being, the creature. How would Godzilla move? And one thing I kept in mind was, I wanted to make sure I didn't copy Nakajima or Satsuma, because if I did that, then it would sort of not be my Godzilla.
Yeah, no, very good. I think we maybe have gotten a little bit of this earlier, but maybe just specifically television versus film. What differences, if any, are there in shooting either television or film?
ゴジラはそればっかり使ってるって感じで。
I think one of the biggest differences is Godzilla is always filmed with a high-speed camera. It's usually 3 or 4 times normal speed. And when it came to, sentai, you'd really only use that kind of camera on very specific moments. But for Godzilla, you're always shooting in high speed.
Okay. I want to switch gears and talk about Shin-Godzilla for a couple questions. I wanted to know what you thought of Shin-Godzilla and also what you thought about the influence of CGI in current Japanese cinema, and if you had just an opinion on that, good or bad.
いいところだけをこう精査していく方法がいいと思いますね。
Well, you know, I had always been sort of concerned about the facial expressions of Godzilla. That's something that's really hard to do well with practical effects. And so for a long time, I had been pleading with them to use CG for the face, specifically because it's a lot easier and more realistic to make those expressions. Now, with the body, it's actually the reverse. Moving around in a physical suit, it lends a lot more realism to it. And so I think, you know, for the body itself, it's good to have a suit and film it like that. But for the face, I think using CG is a really good thing.
And like they did with the Shin-Godzilla, they used a technique called motion capture. So, motion capture where they film your movements and turn them into CGI creatures. Do you have any interest in doing that maybe yourself?
やっぱその方が無駄はないですよね。
You know, I do have an interest in it. In fact, for Final Wars, I had actually spoken to the director about potentially doing mocap.
Wow.
The problem is that it's a very kind of specific application, and there's a lot of issues and problems related specifically to mocap that come into play when you start using it. Like, you know, you're moving around in a free space on a green screen, and the objects that you're interacting with are sort of in another place, and so lining up those locations, the orientation, that can be really difficult. And you know, when it comes to production, it's always money and time. And so very often, you know, it can just be cheaper and faster to do it with a suit than to do mocap.
This will be our last question. And I wanted to ask, what was the most rewarding moment when you saw your work edited together in the final film? What was the most rewarding moment when you actually saw the work come together?
思った通りに表現されていたとき。
So, you know, something that I'd always dreamed about seeing was my own expression, my own like unique expression coming across in the presentation. So I would say that moment of seeing my own expression being represented on the screen, I think was the most moving moment for me.
まあ、例えば、まあ、普通は思うのはやっぱり、すごい有名なビルをバーンぶつかってドカドカドカーンとこう爆発して倒れたりしたらすごくいいなと思うでしょ。でも、そんなのは、体からワイヤーを取って、そのビルを通して引っ張っちゃえば、ボコーンといくから、絶対失敗がないわけですよ。痛いけど。
Yeah, like an example of that is, you know, when Godzilla gets hit into a building or runs into a building, and like a very famous building, and that building crumbles, you know, that's obviously really cool. But for me, the most interesting part of that was, you know, you actually pull on a wire to collapse that building. And so you can kind of throw yourself into it really hard and like sell the moment. And obviously it hurts when you're actually doing it, but I think that's my favorite part for sure.
That's awesome.
まあ確かにそのビルつかもう何百万もかかって何週間もかけて作ってるから失敗して NG 出たら大変だからそうなっちゃうわけですけど、自分が一番喜ぶのはこの頭が動くように作ってもらってるわけです。で、自分の力でこう芝居ができるように。だからカメラが後ろからあって振り向くのにこうやってこういう風に振り向きたいわけ。本来このままこう動いてあるのをこうやってこういう風に振り向きたかった。それがちゃんとできてる方がすごく嬉しかったっていうことですね。
And so, you know, obviously those intricately created skyscrapers and buildings, you know, they cost so many, like hundreds of thousands of dollars to make. Obviously, it's really fun to destroy those things. But the thing that pleased me the most was something that I'd always wanted, which is to have the head turn naturally when you look over. You know, to be able to turn my own head and have the mask itself, the head, turn naturally. You know, originally it was kind of solid, and so you had to turn your shoulders to look behind you. But the first time that I could turn my neck and have Godzilla turn his neck to look over his shoulder. It was so moving and so gratifying.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for being a part of this. We really appreciate your time and your willingness to be on the show. And like I said before, you're one of my heroes. So thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you as part of our podcast.
本当に感謝します。
はい、こちらも感謝してます。
No, I'm really thankful too. I'm glad there's so much interest.
もっとたくさん喋りたかったんですけど。
You know, I wanted to keep talking forever.
And I would also like to say thank you as well. And I think it's just very, as a fan, gratifying to see the respect you and Mr. Nakajima have for one another. That you're both here, the two generations of Godzilla here together and showing such respect for each other. It's obvious you two gentlemen respect and have a good friendship together, and that's very just gratifying for us fans to see that.
それもありがとうございました。
はい。